interesting. So navigate our way through the chicane now on the formation lap.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this now. It is a Renault-heavy field, as we observed last week, but there are a few sprinklings of BMWs in there. I think there is also an Astra in the field somewhere I spotted. A few people had technical difficulties. Unfortunately, Scott, who should have been on the pole for this race, sadly his wheel decided to give up as he was sat on the grid, so he had to drop out, and we lost Lindhold as well. So we are a few drivers down, but on a track like Oulton Park, that may not necessarily be a bad thing.
Yeah, so I'm showing the championship again. Obviously, that is quite crucial because Scott was the championship leader after the first round. So unfortunate for him to have wheel problems. Lindhold was also in the top 10, just about scraping in there after getting 4th, I believe, if I remember correctly, in the second race last week. So yeah, some crucial points in the championship there. I'm mentioning again Primero, 3rd in the championship, also seemingly missing here today. But we are already on the starting grid, and here we go! Touring car racing underway.
There we go then, and that's going to get very, very busy as they head through into turn 1, Old Hall Corner. Everyone seems to be behaving themselves so far, although saying that Rick has lost a few positions. Camera is pointing completely the wrong direction, that's not helping. So Rick has actually fallen a couple of positions. He lost 1 to 2 Desert back, and now Alexis, 2 Desert back, getting very, very sideways, coming through turn 3. That's Cascade. Someone taking a few road cones there in the background. So everyone now streaming down towards turn 4, Island Bend, heading towards the old the Shell Oils corner, turn 5, the hairpin. You saw there, that was Zenny having a look on the inside coming into the hairpin. You can make a move there, but you really do rely on someone missing their braking point and having to correct coming into that turn. It's quite heavily banked. Oh, Rick getting very out of shape through turn 7, 8, 9. That's the Britain's S's. That's now going to be side by side with Zenny heading down. Look at that, that's a challenge for the lead as well. That's Matt and Tori heading into... Oh, Mazda had to get out of that though, and he's lost.
Tori's off the track as well.
Oh, goodness me, it is going on. It's very hard, just like you had last week, very, very hard to keep up with absolutely everything going on. And look at this, that's Alexis. If we get a chase cam on him, he's right with Mazda. That's less than a tenth between the two Renaults. And he's got 2 Desert Pack just under a tenth and a half behind him. It is going off across the board.
Absolutely, a little bit slidey through that corner for Alexis, which has lost him a little bit of ground. It's because I'm defending going on in the background. I believe that's Zenny in the lime and black Renault there, defending from Rick, and heading up the start finish straight in the same order they came in. But yeah, very, very close racing. It's going to be battling all up and down the field here as that is to Desert Pack, looking a bit to the inside as well, up in 4th place, but it seems to have compromised his exit. Zenny getting closer now, coming down the second straight. That is some side by side.
Trying to go 3 wide into turn 3.
On the inside, sneaking through onto Desert Pack, who ran wide. I think the Desert Pack was possibly challenging at Alexis a little bit, but misjudged the corner, and Zenny just slipping through on the inside.
Now 2 Desert Pack is taking it a little bit easier into turn 4. He wants to try and get a decent break into turn 5, this hairpin here. Sometimes you want to back off coming into turn 4, especially if the guy in front of you is challenging. We already have a penalty on the board. That is... it's Odan that's given himself a second penalty, so he's done a track extension and not given the time back quick enough. So, yeah, he's already fallen a bit foul of that. But look how close the field has remained. That is absolutely incredible. They've remained so condensed for so long. Elite stalwart there, Andrex, in his faithful BMW. He's doing his usual thing. He was 16th in the list when I read about it. There was a few people ahead of him that aren't present, but he's already up to 9th position, closing in on Shaggy Dan, and he's going to have a whole lot of people, and he's only 5.5 seconds off the lead, to be fair. Speaking of which, there is Touring. He has actually managed to break away from Mazda, so he's now going to really want to press on as Mazda is defending from Alexis, who in turn has Zenny for company.
Yeah, by the way, I think there's a big battle going on around 13th, 14th, 15th place. Ironic from the back, or second to last, has made his way up to 15 at the moment. He's gained a few positions. There's some side-by-side action going on there as well. That is Phantom Hamster at the end, at the front, I should say, of that particular train. Just ahead of the Mad Dog, and running just behind him. That is a car Who was that going sideways on the grass?
It was Vincator.
Yeah.
Vincator. I never entirely. Oh!
Off the track.
That's Mad Dog that's gone off. I'm trying to get his name. There he is. Oh, that was very close between him and Mickersby. There was a bit of contact there. Can't see any obvious damage on Mad Dog's car. That's actually brought Marauder. So he started much further up the grid than that. He's had a bad start. I think he's actually in the Opel. He is indeed. He's in the Astra.
Who was that? Was that someone in the wall?
Oh, it's Oblator! Oh, what he's done, he's overshot turn 4, gone onto the grass, and he's clouted the wall on the inside of the hairpin. That's going to be his race pretty much run. There's already less than 10 minutes ago. Of course, it took us a while. It took us a while to get the grid sorted out, but look at this behind out Alexis. Now, Matster has broken away by nearly 1.5 seconds over this particular battle. 2.1 seconds Touring leads Matster as well. So, look at this. Alexis has a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of people chasing him.
Indeed, yeah. Big battle there for third as the top two are trying to break away a little bit. And again, we have a car on the grass.
Shaggy Dan. Yeah, Shaggy Dan just overcooked it at, I think it was, I lost 15, yes. Lost track of where we were for a brief second there. But yeah, it was turn 15. He just went a little bit too wide. So easy to do because it's a relatively high-speed corner in these cars. And once you go wide there, because you're just completely on the dust, it's really easy just to lose the tail. So you had to be very, very careful how he came back on. So Andrix
was out ahead of Andrix, I think. Hunter involved with that one, and Rick challenging on to Desibek. So to Desibek seemingly going a little bit the wrong way here in the opening phase. He's already lost on position and he's very much under pressure from Rick riding on board in his cockpit right now. You can just see how seem kind of twitchy and slidey these cars. We obviously saw last week a lot of cars sliding around, and we've seen a few occasions of that already in this race. So Rick is trying to pile the pressure on very narrow track here at Oulton Park. It's I don't think you can fit really more than a 2 wide. We obviously saw some 3 wides and even a 4 wide, I believe, last week. I don't think that's going to be possible.
Not successfully, no. There will be a few broken cars and a few crosswords if anyone tries. Oh, now I'm not sure whether there was contact between Rick and 2 Desibek there, but 2 Desibek suddenly kind of jinked a little bit, so I think there was a little bit of contact between the 2 Renaults. These cars can survive a mild contact without too much bother, but certainly the contact that we saw into the wall of the hairpin was a little bit more than a minor contact, I think it's fair to say. But these guys doing really well to keep the pace up and keep the lines clean. There you see Zenny side by side with that Alexis, and he's got himself.
I saw it coming. No, we saved it though.
Well held.
His rear as he turned in, but he held it beautifully. It's given to Desibek a poor exit as well. It's going to be under pressure from Rick once again. Rick with the inside for the first corner to Desibek, leaving plenty of room, but he's been forced off and he's lost it and he's taken Rick with him. I have to say that was probably Rick's fault because Desibek left fair amount of room on the inside. Rick seemingly understeered into Desibek when he was on his outside, so that's quite unfortunate. Both of them have rejoined side by side with each other. To Desibek just ahead, but they have dropped down only to 8th and 9th actually. Oh my goodness, that's a big save as well. That is Noah, I believe, just behind them.
It was indeed.
Wow.
It was a Z4 Noah was in for season 9. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Yeah. So he's used to. I would imagine the tail of the Z4 game very, very low. We have someone in the pits actually. John Beauregard in the BMW starting from the back of the field. Oh, that's not a happy looking car. That's actually allowed the other BMW of Andrex to get through into 6th position. Now there you see Shaggy Dan still chasing on, and of course Odan ahead is the tail of that 3-way battle going on ahead of him. He's a little bit off the back of it, 1.2 or so off the back of the battle ahead. That's between Zenny and Alexis. Alexis also has a penalty. I'm assuming that's a 1 second. There was a 3-second penalty.
That could be crucial actually when the field is this close.
Yeah, absolutely. That would drop Alexis down to 5th, so losing the 2 positions. And if Andrix does manage to close in, that could be another position lost. But that, of course, those time penalties can be appealed post-race. We'll see what the circumstances were there. But exactly as was experienced last week, it is impossible to keep up with all the action going on in these races. There's just so much of it going on, which is fantastic for us to see.
Definitely. It's worth pointing out a little thing about the Hunter, because actually when he raced last week, obviously had some big problems in the first race last week, but then he won the second race. He made his... Oh, yeah, he did win the second race. I believe he did win the second race.
Oh, Phantom Hamster!
It's a big...
Oh! Oh, no! Big problem for Phantom Hamster. Was it ironic he caught up with?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think it was, yeah. I think Phantom Hamster came off the much worse for that one. He's in the sole Mercedes, and that's a very ugly car. Just the two caught up, got tangled up, and Phantom Hamster was facing the wrong way before that particular incident was done. And Noah has just fallen through the field. That's two Desert Pack right ahead of him. And Shaggy Dan's actually now behind him. So Shaggy Dan was chasing Andrex. So Shaggy Dan now down to 9th. So there's been something going on with these three cars that's cost Shaggy down a few positions as well. Just behind you can see a pair of battling. That's Mickersby and Jay that are fighting. Well, there's fighting going on through the field.
Yeah, everywhere you look really, it's cars. If not side by side, they're definitely nose and tail. There's someone behind this particular battle, actually. That is ironic, trying to recover now after that incident. Battling with Rick, who's also dropped down, obviously, in another incident as well. So they are going to be side by side into turn 14. That's going to be tricky, but I think Ironic's backed out of that one, and he will slot in behind as they come through. Well, first the left-hander, and then into turn 14, the fast right.
Yeah, there's no point. There's no point trying to. If you're on the outside before when you come out of 12, no point trying to hang on to the outside of that. There's just too much speed to be had. Although he had a big old look on the inside of the final turn of turn 16. He couldn't quite get that one done, but looking back up the sharp end, Touring is off by over 4 seconds now. Look at the amount of opposite lock that Alexis had to put in coming through turn 3. And there's side by side, that's Zenny and Mazda. That's for second. Oh, and Zenny backed out of it a little bit. He could have hung on to that a little bit. It is very, very brave to try and hang on to the inside of turn 4. So that was a great effort there by Zenny. Didn't quite pay off this time, but they're running out of time. They've only got just over 3 minutes to go before this race is concluded. So we're going to now start to see people really start to pressure for the moves. Oh, and again, Zenny had to get out of that. He had greater pace coming into that chicane, but couldn't use it, and that's actually cost him a position to add Alexis, who was really in the perfect position to capitalise on that small mistake.
Yeah, I didn't have time to comment at the cursing because I was thinking that Zen is absolutely flying. It's not long since he went past that Alexis, then he went straight on the attack on Master for P2, but then he had that little wiggle and now he's back where he
Mazda has a penalty as well, so it's not all done and dusted to the front either. Mazda with a 2-second penalty, Adalexis with a 3. And again, look at the tail of Adalexis' car. He's really throwing that out, and it's Zenny's rather proving it's not the quickest way of driving these cars. It's good fun, don't get me wrong, but when you've got someone like Zenny on your tail, it's not the greatest way of driving these things.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And Zenny, of course, as it stands, with those penalties, will be moving up to second place regardless. But of course, he doesn't know that. He thinks he will need to get past these guys. Then, of course, as you mentioned, there could be that penalties will be removed. They're side by side at Alexis and Mazda at Alexis off the track. They're both out. Zenny's just about being connected as well, but he's managed to recover. How quickly can these guys get back on track? It's only 2 minutes left in this first race. They're going to have to get back on track very quickly and hope the cars is not in as bad a condition that it cannot get properly to the end. It doesn't look too bad for Alexis, but it's dropped down to P6 now, Mazda to P5, and still both of them with penalties, but at least the gap behind them is relatively big.
Absolutely. Andrik's now up to 4th then in the lead BMW. Again, he by his own admission, he is one to capitalise on other people's mistakes, and that's precisely what he's doing. Those in front of him are just tripping over one another, and he's managed to get that big old beamer up to 3rd then, up to 4th rather. Let's have a look and see who is where. Touring is leading the way, the only man in the 142s at the moment, but he's not defending against anyone. Oulton now up to 2nd in his Renault. Zenny is within a second of him in 3rd. Andrex, you can see in the background there in 4th. Mazda with his bumper hanging off has got Adalexis with him. 5 and 6. 2 Desert Pack is 7th with Noah in very short succession. That's very deep coming off of the end of the chicane there. So that's 2 Desert Pack and Noah. Jay has got Rick. He's got a big train actually. Rick, Shaggy Dan, Ironic, and Mickersby are the ones in that particular battle on board with the Mixelf. You can see, not Mickersby, that's Habit for you.
Yeah, except I made the same mistake last week.
Oh, there was a bit of an impact there. That was Shaggy Dan getting a bit of a shunt from Ironic, nearly going off the road, but managed to keep it in place. There is Marauder in 14th position. Gosku coming through in 15th. Phantom Hamster, in his very reshaping Mercedes in 16th position. Oblator 17. There is Mad Dog right on his tail in 18th position. Victor in 19th, and John Beauregard, after his pit stop, finds himself in a very distant, very lonely last.
Indeed. So we are now, I believe, on the final lap of the race. The time has run out, so it's just this lap to go in the race. Zenny in third now, and it's going to be safe third. Of course, Hunter ahead. We believe he's got 1 second of penalty. So at his stance, it's very close as to whether Zenny will get that position, because he's about a second behind. He's 1.1 second actually at the moment, based on the relatives. So he doesn't know he needs to find a second, just very close to Hunter ahead to get that second place as it stands with the penalty. And he's done enough through that chicane. He's now within a second. He's getting close. I think these guys might be teammates actually, just based on having the same livery. But don't quote me on that. Here we go, Zenny navigating his way through this triple chicane. It's only got a few corners to go now in the race. Yeah, the point I was going to make earlier on the Hunter was that actually I didn't know who he was last week when he did so well in that second race, but it turns out he is, as you mentioned, O'Darn from the forums and from previously.
Cheeky little monkey.
So I commented him as some kind of new almighty force in the league, but of course he's done previous AOR activities before. He's done Rocket League, he's done of course the F1 leagues, as well as touring. Has already come across the line to win this first race of the day at Oulton Park to take well, he's definitely going to take the championship lead with Scott not racing here, and Zenny will get second place as Hunter dropped to third across the line because of his penalty. Then Andrex up to fourth place from 16th on the grid, and Alexis after that incident will recover to fifth, and Matster, I think he crossed the line in sixth actually, but with his penalty dropped behind Noah to Desert Pack. Also Rick crossing the line in ninth and dropping several positions to Ironic and Mike Self. And who was that?
That was Shaggy Dan going through some amazing acrobatics there as he crosses the line. So he did actually manage to cross the line. Oh my god! That's one way to end a race. Oh wow!
That's the end of that one.
It's a good thing they don't need. Well, John Beauregard is still going. His race went from bad to disastrous, having to start at the back of the grid and then going into the pits. So wow, what a finish! Actually, we had 4 wide. It was Phantom Hamster, Oblator, Mad Dog, and Vincator, I believe, was in that particular pack, and then of course somersaulting over Shaggy Dan's car. Well, that's a very dramatic way to finish. And here are your confirmed finishing positions when it pops up. There they are. So this is before any kind of penalty appeal, of course. So these positions may change a little bit before the day is done, so to speak. So touring in first position, Zenny, Odan, Andrex, Adalexis. I can't read them as quick as I need to. I'm actually scrolling through because I need to read out the grid order for the next race, so I'm going through them as quick as I can as well. Yeah,
I believe the lobby needs to be obviously set up again.
It will need to be rebuilt, yeah. So I've got those positions in order to read out once again. So right, so now I can go through them. So TM Touring, Zenny 2, Odan 3, or Hunter as he wishes to be known, Andrex 4, Adalexis 5, Noah 6, 2 Desertback 7, Master 8, Ironic 9, and myself rounding out the top 10.
Indeed. Scott Vincent in the chat. I assume it's Scott who was leading the championship, of course. It
was, yes. He had terrible luck at the start of the race. His wheel died as he was due to be the pole man. His wheel gave up, so hopefully he's able to join us for the main feature race.
Yep, that will be interesting, of course. The feature race, 40 minutes. Scott, of course, from not finishing this race, will be starting at the back of the pack. So it's going to be a tough task, but he saw what he could do last week, winning that first race, of course. And as mentioned before, I can't exactly remember where he finished in the second race last week, but I'm sure he must have had a decent position considering he was leading the championship.
I can look that up for you. So Scott, was it you were talking about?
Yes.
He won the sprint race and was unfortunately down the field 14th in the main race. So he was leading the championship leading into this particular round. The winner of last week's main race was Primero, who's sadly not with us.
That's the one. And Hunter was the one who made his way from the back to third.
Correct.
That's why we sort of classed him as driver of the day in that second race last week.
Because he didn't start in the sprint race.
Yeah, or I think he was meant to start. Similar to Scott's situation now, really. He was meant to start, had some kind of issue. And had to start the second race from the back. So Hunter made his way up to third last week. No pressure, Scott, if you want to outdo him from the back. But of course, he will be joined at the back by some other very fast drivers, obviously, with a race winner now. Team Touring will be right at the back there as well. He was second place in the championship.
So John Beauregard will be our poleman for the main race with Vincator 2, Mad Dog 3, Oblitor 4, Phantom Hamster 5, Jekyll 6, Gosku 7, Marauder 8, Shaggy Down 9, and Rick will be rounding out the top 10. Exactly as Fizzy said, those that couldn't take part in race 1 that may join for race 2 but have to start behind everybody. So then it's Mike Self, Ironic, Matster, 2 Desert Pack, Noah, Adalexis, Andrex, Odan, Zenny, and Turing. Right, the server has started. I'm off to... Oh, it's going to be in the rain as well. That's going to be fun.
Indeed.
So I'm off to read the results. I shall be back shortly.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
I guess Scott must be at the back then.
Yep.
That sucks.
Okay, so again, part the waves, and then we'll get this underway. Waves, rain. Didn't mean that one. Don't look at me like that.
Yeah.
Got history with you at Oulton Park and Brain.
I am not on the grid this time. As much as I would want to be. Well, that was fun. That was impossible to keep up with all of you. Oh, Shaggy Down, what a great set of acrobatics after you cross the line. That was epic.
Thank you.
Did you see the chaos that followed you?
Yeah, I felt it.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome.
It's one way to remodel the car anyway.
Well, there is that.
Alexis and make yourself.
So what you'll probably find in this race is that these front-wheel drive scrubs can go through that puddle on that first corner on the inside and hit the apex okay, whereas the men in the proper cars seems the alternative lines going to turn 1.
Yeah,
These are stabilizers, dude. I thought we talked about this.
Andres, ready up.
Yeah.
I thought the BMWs would be a bit better in the rain.
What you need is like
the rain. It's just not through puddles.
So what you need is like a snowplow or an icebreaker on the front to part the water as you're driving through it. All right, part the waves, guys. Right, so we can go through this a bit quicker. Right, John Beauregard 1. Vincator 2. Mad Dog 3. Remember to wait at the end of Sector 1, guys. Oblitor. Phantom Hamster.
Did he call out Scott?
Scott will be last, wouldn't he?
Oh, he will, sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Jekyll.
Was there somebody else that went to the toilet or something? Somebody mentioned.
You better hurry up.
He
Gosku.
came back down.
Yeah, that's true.
Gosku's right at the back, so yeah, he's moving. Just let Gosku come through before I call out Marauder. Shaggy Down. Oh, you're at the back as well. Rick. Mike Self. Ironic. Matster. back. 2 Desert Pack. Noah. Add Alexis. Andrex. Oh, Hunter Darm. Zenny. And Turing. Scott. And then Lindholt.
God, please give me an info when you're there.
Sorry?
Please inform me when you see the group.
Yeah, will do.
Right, I'm moving back over. Good luck, gentlemen. See you on the other side.
Cheers, King.
In the sign-up for us there for how you can do that. But now let's turn our attention back to the touring car racing that will be happening currently watching in Lindholt.
You were until I changed it.
Yeah, exactly. As you come back and change the camera. But I take it the grid organisation went reasonably well there. It seemed to be in the right order.
Indeed. The only alteration to what should have happened is Lindholt unfortunately disconnected, as did Scott. So as Scott was supposed to be the pole man, he started in front of Lindholt. But everyone else is in reverse order of the previous race. So we should be getting this, what will be 40-minute race underway. Because extra time was added to the timer, so that we have at least 40 minutes of racing to do, which I'm sure they would love, because it's in pouring down conditions. I'm sure the drivers are very happy about that. Now, one thing that was actually highlighted is, of course, with rain this heavy, they're going to have standing water. And all the Renaults, and I think the Astra, possibly the Mercedes as well, I'm trying to remember, are front-wheel drive, and they're going to handle that standing water better than, as we're looking at, John Beauregard's BMW, because of course the Beamer is rear-wheel drive. So that is something to bear in mind, that you might see alternate lines happening anyway, because the standing water may appear differently to us than it does to the drivers. Of course, we're looking from up here, the driver is looking from down here. That sounds like a bit of an obvious statement. Of course it's going to look a bit different, but sometimes the standing water, and that's really what they're looking to avoid, it's the standing water that's going to make the biggest difference. So if you see a car skew off, it means they've ploughed through it and haven't negotiated they haven't sailed their car properly. And apparently the rear-wheel drive cars are going to have to approach it very, very differently. They may avoid the water, whereas the front-wheel drive cars may well look to kind of plough through it and have a bit of an easier time as a result. So I'm told.
Very interesting insight there. Of course, we do not have too many rear-wheel drive cars. We have John Beauregard on pole position. We've got Andrex down the field also in the Beamer. I don't think it's too much more than that.
No.
So, a bit interesting to see.
He's really stopped.
A sideways John now out of the first corner, based on what you just said. But here we go then. Race 2 underway. 40 minutes in the pouring rain at Oulton Park in default setup touring cars. As John Beauregard navigates from pole position. That'll be very close racing.
Anyone that wants to run on board, that's what they've got to contend with.
I do not envy that.
No, nope.
That is a very tricky condition.
That's even the bonnet cam, and even that is bad enough.
Yeah, certainly gets the spray straight in the face. Of course, John Beauregard from the front. He's the only man without a spray at the moment, but he's already under pressure from Maddock. He's pulled out to the side, but he doesn't. As we saw several times in the first race, he doesn't want to be inside of that turn 4, but it's actually managed to hang in there because John Beauregard was quite wide as well, just to be safe, and he's kept the inside out for the hairpin. Maddock hanging it on the outside, getting a better exit by the looks of it. They're going to be side by side still for the lead into the chicane. That is going to be Maddock on the inside line, as it is a left-hand start of that chicane. And there we go, Maddock into the lead right from the start of this race. And yeah, very good start for him. And John Beauregard is going to have to keep looking behind, because here comes Vinkitour.
Now again, with these reverse grid races, it does of course put those that are... Oh no, that's Oblator! Oblator is spinning. He's going to have to wait for the entire grid to pass him before it's safe for him to come to rejoin. Oh, that has gone horribly wrong. Now he's opted to actually back out and rejoin somewhere else, which is probably not a bad idea. He's going to have to be careful how he does that. But, it looks like Mazda's come a cropper. He's fallen way behind, and whoa, that's very deep.
That's a big problem there from our... well, we saw him running in second for a lot of the first race, because finished on 8th after some major issues at the end of the race.
That was
He's had some more major issues here.
Oh, Vigator's very deep, very, very deep. That's going to slow him down. That's at turn 16. That's going to bring Phantom Hamster and the trail that follows the Mercedes right up with him as well. Now the top 3 have broken away. Mad Dog is leading the way. John has already lost. John Beauregard has lost about 1.5 seconds or so on that leader. And Vigator now has got... I say Phantom Hamster and that big train right with him. There is that BMW, our pole sitter for this particular race. He's gonna want to try and get away, and we have someone in the pits already. It's Matster. Beg your pardon, no, it's Marauder that's come into the pits. So it's not gone well for him. You can see the damage on his car. Master chose to continue, although the camera yet again seemed to get confused if we changed it around that particular point. So John now needs to try and use this opportunity to try and build up a bit of a gap, which is so hard to do in these conditions.
Yeah, because when you are sort of one of these slower drivers starting out the front, a bit out of position, and probably not used to starting this high up the grid, it's just a case of keeping your head cool, just, try to not make mistakes and not fall through the field too much. Don't make yourself an easy victim to these guys coming from behind. Just drive your race and let them do the rest. If you are too slow, of course, to keep them behind, then so be it. You just gotta try and stay in front for as long as possible. As you can see, there is indeed a very big train forming here, going down to Shaggy Dan, running in 5th place at the moment. We saw him having an interesting race as well in the first one, and he's in a good position there. I mean, didn't he finish in about 12th? So he actually gained some positions, I think.
Shaggy Dan did indeed finish 12th, so you have an amazing memory for these things.
So that means he's getting 5 positions then at the start of this race, so that's a great start for him.
Oh, you watched Touring's car. He was turning, countering all the way through that very fast right-hander, turn 15. So you can see how much he's having to find. That's Andrex. It's gone wide. Oh, that was a great save then by the BMW driver. That was a very rare unforced error on Andrex's part then, but that was very well held to not stove the front of his car into the chasing Touring, who's now up to 11th position. This is Zenny, who was second. He was indeed. He finished second in the last race. Again, let's go with the bonnet cam. We can't see through the cockpit cam, and this is what he's got to contend with. That's Odan or Hunter, as he was previously called. And again, you've got a side-by-side going on ahead of him. There's Noah and 2 Desert Pack side-by-side heading into turn 4. That's very close, but all through quite safely. But they've got wow, what a great move by Noah. As 2 Desert Pack went to take the normal line, he's gone a little bit too deep. Noah's then capitalised on it, and that's Odan that's right with them as well. Then please don't try and make that 3 wide, and they don't. They fall back into single file. But you could see, despite the fact it's front-wheel drive, despite the fact they're supposed to have a bit of an easier time in the wet, you can see how much Noah is fighting with that car. Zenny has gone through, and look at that, slightly further ahead. That's Touring and Mike South side by side. Andrex in very close succession as well. My goodness me, as we saw in the first race, it is all happening everywhere.
Crazy stuff there. Touring making a great progress through the field as well, to 11th now, starting from P20 after winning the first race. He's getting 9th position and he's going to make a quick work of the next one as well. That is him going round the outside of the left-hand kink of Mike Self, and on the inside for turn 15, getting a great exit as well to maybe challenge Ironic straight away, of course, who made himself from the last 12th in the first race, or somewhere around there, or 9th actually in the end. We're warned by Insulo Ventus that he was going to be a very fast guy, but he's struggling a bit here, and it's touched Touring as he tried to recover. Touring though making his way through, and Mike Self coming back at him with a better exit out of the final corner. Will he be able to hang on to this one? It's going to be clear air for him ahead if he does. And here we go, breaking late on the outside. Touring if he stays on track, he will have that position and opportunity to pull away. But look at this behind us, still side by side, and nearly 3 wide. I mean, it would have been 3 wide if the track was a bit wider.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrex was in a prime position to actually pry apart those two Renaults, but the risk was just not worth it. In these conditions, in a track so narrow, it would have ended very, very badly for... Oh, no! And just as we say that, commentator's curse, Andrex has already banned me from the from the commentary box already.
Yep.
So he is not going to thank me for that. That's myself and Adalexis that has come a cropper. Adalexis trying to get out of the way and rejoin without taking anybody else with him, which he does, but down in 20th. It's only Matster Marauder behind them because of their earlier pistols. Let's jump up to the sharper end of the field. That's Shaggy Dan and Phantom Hamster that are fighting away. That is for 4th position. And up ahead you can see Vincator is right there as well. Just out of the bottom of the shot, you actually saw John Beauregard, who has actually...
Oh, behind.
Oh, what did I just...
Go side by side through the chicane. That is not safe, especially with a barrier on the inside, and they're still side by side. No one been forced.
Oh my God!
At Oulton Park, going up the hill. That is a big impact for
Scott. It was Scott.
Oh no! From the back, and he has made his way that far up the field. Oh my God, it's gone wrong. Then it's going to be surely some damage with that big hit with the roll.
Oh, that is horrible, and that's ironic. That's gotten out of shape, and with that's Andrex in the BMW that's come through. So what a shame for Scott, like you say, missed out the first race through no fault of his own. He was on the grid, ready to go, was supposed to be pole, and oh no, that's ironic. That is ironic. That's flown up. Will you come here? There we go. It's every time I click, you know what it's like. You click on the name just as it moves. So he's flown off the road at turn 16. That's going to drop him right the way down to 18th. So there's a lot going on here. And John Beauregard has closed right in on Matt and Mad Dog. There he is within a second now. So John seems to be doing pretty well considering what... I'm not saying what I was told was wrong, but it looks like John Beauregard seems to be really handling the weather conditions very, very well. Again, looking at the lap times, there was 7 tenths rather between Mad Dog and Joe Beauregard in the BMW's favour. So he's really getting to grips with these conditions very, very well indeed.
Yeah, he's getting into Gruna. Very impressive from John Beauregard. Of course, he was struggling so much in the dry in the first race. He seemingly was struggling a bit at the start of this race as well. Mad Dog getting through very quickly, and then starting to pull a gap, but yeah, now John Beauregard has closed him in again to less than a second, so it'll be very interesting to see how that develops if he's able to challenge back for the lead.
And no one else is in the 53s either, so that is actually decent pace by John. I mean, okay, you can argue that everyone, and pretty much everyone, is fighting someone, so that, of course, is going to affect overall pace. But some people just naturally do very, very well. In the Ginetta League we had... in between seasons 8 and 9. I was in that one. We did this track in the wet as well, and I had one of my best drives there. Now, you can argue as for why all day long, but I just got into a groove. That's Shaggy Dan going very wide. So now there was no impact between the two. Can't quite see Torrance. Oh, there he is. Just as I say that, he's going to have the inside for turn 16. Can he get past Shaggy Dan? Does look like Shaggy Dan actually let him go. And you know when a move is done. You know when it's too late to try and close the door. That is Touring up to 6th.
He's coming back.
He does indeed. The Touring's going to have the next inside line. And once again, you can see there's that BMW. As Andrex once again looking to capitalise. Touring. Oh, he got very, very... That's Gosku that's right in there as well. So... that's the view from Gosku's car. Actually, if we go to Andrex, he's right behind us. So Andrex has got a great ringside seat. They've actually caught up with Rick and Phantom Hamster as well. So this train's gotten even bigger.
It's turned into the great battle of 4th place. 5 cars in the mix. And yeah, fantastic stuff. Andrex at the back of it as well. So 6 cars in the mix even in this battle for 4th. Very, very close racing, and Team Touring from 20th on the grid is up to P6, and he's still got half an hour to go in this race. He could very well, if he placed his right from here on out, be in the hunt for a double victory. But of course, the gap to the top 2 especially is quite big, so he's got a lot of work to do, and of course he needs to make some more overtakes before he can even think about those two. But he is having a fantastic first 10 minutes of this race, and now on the attack on Phantom Hamster, who will have the inside for the chicane. Both the nailing and the braking pretty well. Touring forced back out of it.
I'm sure he's been called worse.
Well, it's an appropriate name, I guess you can say, for...
Yeah,
this kind
very
of
true.
league. Yeah.
Now, you want to try and get the slipstream, but this track is very narrow. Of course, the wet weather conditions, because you've got that much less grip, you can't utilise a slipstream effect anywhere near as well as you can in dry conditions. Oh, and Goski ran wide on through that turn 15 and shot through. Well, Andrex is actually still side by side with the Renault, but Andrex is going to have the next inside line for turn 16. Oh, Goski's gone deep again. Oh, impact between the two, but well saved then by Goski. It's much easier to save a front-wheel drive car in those circumstances. If he was rear-wheel drive, I suspect that may have gone very horribly wrong.
Yeah, it would have gone wrong if that was the roles reverse, I think, with Andrex ahead, but he's let Andrex through now. Andrex was blinking his lights a little bit after that happened, and Goski maybe felt a little bit bad and let Andrex go. So Andrex up into P8 as the battle ahead is still raging on. I think I saw Shaggy Dad pretty much in the middle of two cars. And there he is again.
Big old pack then, that's Rick.
It's a third place battle now as well.
It is, yeah, that's Rick in the monster flavoured Renault at the front of the pack with Touring now to 5th place, putting all the pressure. Oh my goodness me, I thought that was a little bit deep. That Phantom Hamster way too deep. Ooh, and that was fair. That could have been much nastier as well. Shaggy Dan almost getting in the way of Andrex then, but Andrex managed to get through. Wouldn't have been a great deal of damage. It wasn't a particularly heavy impact, but it was enough in these conditions that could have completely unsettled the BMW and, of course, the Renault. So that was lucky. That was much worse.
Yeah, Phantom Hamster must have just lost concentration a little bit, or just spotted his breaker
Oh,
point.
like that.
Has Shaggy Dan completely misspotted his breaker, but luckily for him, there was no other cars in the way there. He's managed to recover, dropping down to 7th place now. Phantom Hamster, after his mistake, he of course had to reverse out of the wall there at the hairpin. He's dropped all the way down to 15th place now. So that's going to be hard to get back.
Absolutely. Any wonder you told me to do the cameras of this race. This is impossible to keep up with. Battle for the lead, though. Look at this. John Beauregard once again. Now, John actually lost about half a second last time around with a 155.3, but I think it's fair to say he's closed out right back in now, as he's going to be putting that pressure back on Mad Dog to regain that lead. There you go, 54.9, 54.2, and a rig behind to the thousandth of a second match John Beauregard's time. Now that is consistency. But Touring is now in 4th position, with that spin that we saw earlier on, but he's now right on Rick's case. Andrex actually managed to do a 52 last time around. I mean, that was bouncing off with Shaggy Dan as well. So he's really got the pace out of that BMW, or was getting the pace out of the BMW. But he's all well and good doing it now. He's got to do it throughout the race, and we all know how good Andrex is. But it's how well he can keep doing it in these conditions. Now, he was a pretty dominant force in the Touring Car League, as that's Rick going a little bit deep. Oh, a little bit of door banging, nothing that Touring's going to particularly feel. Still side by side though, heading down towards turn 7, 8, 9. And Touring's got it done. That is a podium spot then for Touring at the moment. He's got quite a way to go to get to the lead battle loads. 4.5 seconds there or thereabouts. And you just saw them go out the bottom of the shot, but Andrex is right there in tow. As I was just saying, Andrex was a pretty dominant force in the Ginetta League for the elite tier, so there is nothing to say that he won't do well here.
Yeah, 4 seconds the gap from Touring up to the top 2. That was a good move he put on Rick there. I think he just stuck his nose a little bit. I don't think he was intending to make the move at a hairpin actually, but he stuck his nose up a little bit, scared Rick off his inside line. He ended up giving a bit too much space really, and ended up side by side, and then he just outbraked him into the chicane. So a textbook overtake from Touring, and now he will set his sights on these two who we can see ahead. You can certainly see the spray from them ahead as he goes down some of the longer straights on this track. And look at this, especially if these guys start battling now. That could also play into Touring's hands, but it doesn't look like John Beauregard will be particularly aggressive about it, as he's lost it on the curb there. He's well onto the grass. That's going to lose him a lot of time, but no precisions.
Yeah,
unfortunate.
He went for the apex way too early and had to actually back out of that, and Andrex has got past Rick as well, so the monster-coloured Renault has lost another position. And again, another 52.9 by Andrex as well, so he is maintaining that pace. And you look, no one even did a 53. And he's right on Touring. It was
Touring. Yeah, this is very interesting. Of course, Touring must have passed Andrex at some point in the race because Touring was starting behind him.
It was.
So Andrex in that Beamer now is getting into such a groove, such a high good pace.
That was close.
That, I'm wondering if Andrex might be the favourite for the win.
Yes, they've got a long way to go. They're getting side by side. Andrex is going to have... Yeah, I think that was the wiser move by Andrex. He didn't have the first inside line, and that would have got very nasty. They would have actually squeezed him onto that bollard in the middle of the apex. But now he's going to have a look. Touring's defending the inside line for the next corner. My God, that gets so close. Andrex nearly pushing the Renault along. And that, of course, keeps Rick in the battle as well. In behind them, you see Shaggy down and Gosku still fighting for that 6th position.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, this BMW is just. That's the thing. Andrex is done a really good job. It's just trying to balance the throttle coming out of the slow corners, especially, and just sliding about. But it's just finding the right amount of grip.
The amount of opposite lock.
Basically drifting around these corners, but it's keeping the speed up. It was a bit too much. Well, actually, the reason it was off track earlier is that it had too much speed and sort of had to steer a bit too heavily to not hit the back of Touring because of the overspeed. But look at this again. Oh, to the final corner. He doesn't even know which way to go because he's got so much more speed. Touring ends up defending the inside. I don't think this is going to be really a move around the outside unless it's really late on the brakes. And there we go. Touring's going to remain ahead, but Andrex is looking super fast.
It does look like that he's going to be getting that position anytime soon. And even though that Andrex had a pretty big moment, he was 3-4 thousandths of a second quicker than Touring last time around. That just goes to show you how much pace he's got throughout the rest of the lap. And a lovely four-wheel drift there by the BMW. I would imagine a lot of them have earned enough to call themselves drift drivers by now. But you could see also on the BMW just how much opposite lock he had to put in. Oh, was that... Oh! It's John Beauregard! I was just thinking there's someone sat still! Oh no! What a great shame for John Beauregard. He's lost it at turn 4 and he's now finds himself a 10th position. Oh my goodness me. He looks like he's going to lose another spot to Zenny. Does he get underway? Don't see any particular damage on that BMW. Oh, there is some, but that's probably a fairly light barrier touch. But he does seem... He may have got suspension damage because he doesn't look like he's kind of committing to the apexes as he once was.
Front left looks quite banged up actually. So I think he might be struggling. Of course, he was doing a really good job.
Oh, what a shame.
But that's a great shame for John Beauregard starting on pole position, and now it has gone quite wrong for him as we're approaching the halfway point in this 14-minute race. And I think it'll be a case of him to try and just avoid dropping too many more positions.
It's very much damage limitation for John Beauregard, which is a great shame. And there we go, side by side again with Andrex and Touring coming into turn 16. Oh, Andrex went for the switchback, but he actually nudges the back of the Renault. And again, I think he expected Touring to get a little bit more traction than he did at that particular moment. So wasn't able to do the switchback as he would have liked. Has forced Andrex again onto the outside of turn 2, but look at the tail snap on the Renault. Again, well held by Touring. That's keeping Rick, who's acting very nicely as our camera car throughout this entire battle. And you can actually see that's Mad Dog, the next car down the road, is the leader. So it is definitely all to play for, and I think this battle is going to go on to the flag.
Yeah, considering Touring and Andrex are running significantly faster than Mad Dog, despite battling at the moment, this could, essentially be the battle for the lead that we're watching. But of course, we can't count on Mad Dog. For all we know, he will put up a defensive masterclass here once these guys catch up to him. If they catch up to him.
I mean, he would have to defend like a god in these conditions for that long of a time. And again, Andrex has got it ahead, but again, it's that bollard there. If you get crushed against that, your day is done. And that's, I think, why Andrex backed out of that. But he's straight back on Touring's case as he's come out of that chicane. Now having a look at the outside, heading down towards turn 10. That's not really going to yield anything. There's not enough gap between 10 and 11. What he wants is a decent exit from 12, and that's actually brought Shaggy down and Gosku into this battle as well. So once again, we've got trains throughout the race, but I daren't look away because there's just so much action going on. We've got this train here. We've got a three-way battle. Omnitor, Odan, and Lindhold, actually, who started at the very back of the field. Lindhold's up to 9th. So he's having a pretty good day yet again. You can see the opposite lock that BMW's having to put on. Oh, he's run a little bit wide. That could bring Rick into the mixture as well. No, he just manages to get back into single file. Touring yet again defending. He's sticking his car right in the middle of the road, and that is keeping the BMW at bay.
Goodness.
And again, now he's got him.
Out of the corners.
Now
There we go.
this time he actually managed to keep his momentum for the last few laps. Andrex has nudged the back of the Renault, but yet again that puts him on the outside of turn 1. But he's managed to keep the momentum, but oh my goodness me, that could go horribly wrong. He's managed to save it and keep hold of second position. He's still at the lead of these two cars as they now come through turn 3. Oh my goodness me, how did he do it? How on earth did he manage that? He has done it through going off. Now, he had just about nudged ahead before he went off track, so he won't be ordered to give that position back. But I don't think... Oh, he's gone too deep, though! Can he recover just before the hairpin? He did. He locked up a little bit coming into the... Oh my goodness me! He's managed to hold on still. And whilst they're doing that, they're actually breaking away. Gosku. Oh, Shaggy Dan has actually fallen behind Rick in the 3 cars behind these two. So I'm not, even though it might look like Andrex completed the move off circuit, which I'm pretty sure he didn't, I'm not convinced Tori would have begrudged him that, because he's been nailed to the back of that Renault for so many laps now. So now it's Andrex's turn to play the defensive game, but of course they want to keep the pace up. There's Mad Dog, the leader of this race, who they're all on a similar pace at the moment. Gosku did a 53 last time around. The rest of them around this area, well, first down to 7th really, or in the 54s. But now is an opportunity for Andrex. Can he finally get all of the horses he's wanted to deploy and break away from touring? It looks like he started, but it's not how you start, it's how you end.
It's certainly, this is proper touring car racing between these guys. Andrex, I mean, what ridiculous driving in a positive way. Andrex is sliding about everywhere. He's going off the track, but he's still managing to make the move on the race 1 winner and keep an incredible pace of 1:53.2, 1.3 seconds quicker than touring on that particular lap after making that move, of course, as well as the leader Mad Dog is slightly off the track, and Andrex is closing in very fast. It's 7/10 behind only. He caught him by 1.5 seconds on the last lap, which, you know, in theory means he'll be with him now before half a lap is over.
He's
and
already...
we still have 16 minutes to go.
He's already 1.5 seconds ahead of touring. Look at the gap. He's building visually. He's already... Oh my goodness me. Shaggy Dan's actually he's made a mistake somewhere. He's fallen off the back of this particular battle. Gosku is right there as well. He's within 1 second of touring, so he might start to come into play. But Andrex, and there he is. It's now just 2/10 behind the race leader of Mad Dog. Mad Dog has had to be fair, he's had a fairly comfortable time out there. He's now got, you know, the charging BMW of Andrex to try and defend for 16 minutes. I think that might be a bit of a tall ask.
Well, touring certainly did his best. The defensive job. He was
Absolutely
doing, you know, really good job to keep Andrex behind for a long time. But even that was not 16 minutes.
No.
and Maddox's not even, you know, he's been running in the lead for a long time, but he's not had quite the same pace as what touring has done. That'll be really impressive if he can defend. I mean, if you just see how hard he wants to defend as well. If he sort of is resigned to the fact that, you know, Andrex is so much faster that he just wants to avoid losing more time to the cars behind, and maybe, you know, just let him go if he attempts the move on him, or if he will really go for this win and defend hard. He's certainly moving a bit to the inside into this final corner, and I certainly don't hope that he will make it easy for Andrex there.
Here we go again. Very much for Andrex, yeah. So 53.9 for the BMW, but that was, of course, in the slipstream of the Renault, and that's surely going to be moved on before he gets to the braking zone. That damn camera. And there it is, and Andrex then takes the lead, but he's going to have to really throw the car. Look at the amount of opposite lock he put into that to get the thing to stick. That is amazing. He has managed to do it. Andrex on lap 15 has taken the lead of the race, but we've seen how deadly a mistake is on this circuit in these conditions, and even Andrex may fall foul of a mistake. It is not done until the checkered flag falls, and it's still some time before it does.
Yeah, Andrex driving. We're getting drift points from drifting through the apexes, but he's certainly not losing any speed from it. Fantastic driving, and into the lead he goes. Touring then, next to challenge Mad Dog. He wants up to get up to second. I think, if Andrix carries on the way he's done, I think he will pull away, bar any mistakes. But Touring certainly will want to maximize his result. He won the first race. Getting first and second on a race night will be absolutely fantastic for his championship, of course, especially with Scott having problems in the first race and not having the best second race either. He's down in 14th at the moment after getting damage earlier on. So Touring looking great for this championship at the moment. Oh, and yeah, that is huge damage. His front bumper is gone.
That's not looking good. That's the battle ahead was actually John Beauregard on Odan. So bearing in mind that John was challenging for the lead earlier on, that has just unravelled. He finds himself in a big battle. I wanted to
touring up to second.
He has
just
indeed.
Past him. I think on the inside in the final corner. Looks like Maddox has tried to get a cutback on him actually. So he might claim the inside. He's got half his car alongside into the next one. Touring though later on the brakes and turning at the apex and into the puddle, it must be said, so he got a bit loose there.
That was a hell of a lake that's forming on the inside of turn one. Wow, that's quite something. But there you go. That just goes to show the pace difference that Touring's been able to utilise. But can he? That's Gosku. I think that's flown off. It is indeed. So I think he was caught out a little bit with Mad Dog, because of course Mad Dog minding his own business. That Mad Dog was a 156 last time around. Gosku 153. So I think Mad Dog lost the time because he was trying to keep Touring behind him. I see TOU and my brain still says Tautauner from Elite Season 9. So again, I'm likely to get some more names wrong before this evening is done. So Owa Zen has actually got himself on the penalty board, it would seem. Yeah, he's got a time penalty for track limits. I'm glad the fact that the race feed box now works on the bottom. So that's quite nice to see. As Gosku then, we actually see Mad Dog actually still staying with Touring, to be fair. Touring may have made a bit of a mistake coming through that chicane. But Mad Dog doing his best to stay as far up the field as possible. But he's got a lot of people to defend against for quite some time to come here. Andrix now leads by 2.7.
Andrix looking fantastic here then, after making that, well, first of all, that fantastic move for second place, and then move for the lead as well. Looking confident, despite sliding about in that BMW. Touring now into second, and then now we're looking on with Rick, who's trying to close up to Shaggy down, and Gosku. And well, the train from second down is relatively closely contested. And behind Rick, though, a huge gap down to Oblitor in 7th place, who has actually got Lindholt for company. He started at the back of the field. So Lindholt having a solid race here from 22nd to 8th at the moment and challenging 7th. So
absolutely.
It's a good job for him after missing the first race with technical issues. Worth pointing out as well, we got still 22 drivers in the field. We started with 22, so we haven't lost anyone. There's been a few, one or two cars been through the pits. Obviously, we've got Marauder running around at the back. We saw him in the pits earlier on. And then Lex is having a nightmare race in 21st at the moment. So those are the points. I believe we have points down to 20th place.
Phantom Hamster got caught out early on with that big incident that forced him to the back of the field.
Yeah, Matt's having a horrendous second race here as well. That's unfortunate, of course. He was looking quite good in the championship before.
Matt's finished the first race. He actually finished the first race in 8th, so yeah, he's certainly not going to be repeating that here. He's not likely to, unless there's unless we have a boulder fall on the track or something. But myself, I'm still stopping myself from saying Mickersby. So you can see he's had trouble with his front bumper hanging off there. Ironic, who he was 9th last time around, so that's not gone well for him either. There's Vincator, has just gone out of the shot there in 16th. 2,000 Mac. He went a bit too hard and had to really fight hard to not slam.
Jumping back under the track.
That was rallying in the extreme. So he had to work really hard not to slam into that bollard in the middle. John Beauregard now down to 14th place after very early promise that has sadly gone quite wrong for him. J. Cool now in 13th position, still keeping Scott for company. Scott starting in 21st position despite that damage. finds himself in a fairly solid midfield.
I mean, fair play to Scott. He's running similar pace to the cost around him, but he's got no front bumper.
Yeah.
So,
Zen has either had a massive moment somewhere because he had a 2 minute 56 last time, or he's been through the pit and I hadn't realised. But I didn't see the pit marker come up as his name. So I think he's just had a bad moment somewhere. He's got a 30-second penalty as well, which I think is speeding in the pit lane. Which so he may well have been through the pit at some point. Odan, or Hunter as he was previously known, finds himself fairly lonely, which if in these conditions you probably would prefer. Oblator finds himself in another position at the moment.
2 positions recently because he had a 2:02 lap time last time out. He was running in 7th ahead of Linnold and Noah. He's now behind them both.
There is Noah, who found himself in 6th position last time, so he's not too far off of repeating that. Lindholt is his race is getting steadily better. He finds himself 6.5 though behind Rick with less than 10 minutes to go. So if he wants to climb up positions, he's going to have to really get on with it and try and close in the gaps ahead. 6th is Rick on the back of that particular pack. You can see ahead of him. There's first one along is Shaggy Dap. Finds himself in 5th position, still nailed to the back of Gosku, who's been there for a while. Mad Dog, who's racing for a while. He has fallen off the back of Tori, who trails Andrex by 5 seconds. So the BMW has just run off into the distance. So we'll see if Andrex is able to maintain that. That's 52.5 by Andrex. That's a pretty impressive lap in these conditions.
Yeah, we haven't seen many 52s, and I think most of the 52s that we have seen has been done by Andrex. So, and there we go, 52.1. That is potentially the fastest lap of the race so far. Andrex is still pushing super hard. I think he's having a lot of fun out there driving this railway drive. BMW sliding about in the pedals. And
the race feed does actually confirm that is the fastest lap of the race. Although they slid very deep into turn 3 there, but managed to keep it.
Seems to be his normal line now.
Yeah.
So Andre's having fun. Over 5 seconds of gap now to Touring. A fantastic pace from our leader then. And Touring holding on, and then the train down to Rick in P6. I think these guys will not be able to rest until the end of the race. I think Andrex could start resting a bit. 7 minutes to go with a 6 second gap if he wanted to, if he wasn't having so much fun. But these guys cannot afford any even minor mistakes here until the end of the race if they want to keep the position they're in or potentially challenge for some more points.
Indeed, these guys have got a little bit of a gap. Gosku a little deep into the middle part of that chicane turn 8, but managed to keep it fairly straight and true. This battle rages on. Of course, John Beauregard is still struggling with that heavily damaged car, but there's J. Cool and Scott that are continuing their battle. They've been locked in a battle for quite a long time now, and Andrex is still setting fastest sectors. I've just been told that he's just set the fastest sector 2 times.
Could we be on for a 51 here for the first time in the race?
Could well be. He's opened up that gap even further.
Let's go in the cockpit with Andrex. I'm interested to see how this kind of driving style, his slightly driving style looks inside this BMW. Here we go. Wasn't too extreme out of that corner.
Yeah, it'd be good to follow him through an entire lap, I think. So
while the rest of the action isn't too manic, compared to what we use anyway in this car, as he does not set a 51, it's a 52.2, so probably the second fastest lap of the race, you would think.
And Ironic has had a moment. He's fallen down to 21st, so his race has gotten even worse with a 2-minute lap time there.
There we go. Here's the drift line through turn 3, that is, I think.
Look at the water. Look at the standing water. It's just everywhere. It's so, grip is at such a premium. Of course, you learn how to deal with the standing water, but with the live track, too deep into 16. Tried to cut back in on that actually, but I think he cut in a little bit quicker than he was expecting, and he had to back out a little bit. There's been a change for P3. There was
no, not quite. I think Mag was already in P3, but Gus could definitely been challenged for P4. Shaggy then all over the back wing through the chicane. And this is where Gusco had a poor exit last time. Now this time it looks reasonably decent.
I think the race feed tells me Shaggy Dan was up to 3, but I think he must have lost that position back to Gosku and Mad Dog. That's very deep for Gosku. It's going to put him a little bit offline coming through that chicane, but manages to hold on to it and keep his car where he needs it to be. But if we follow...
And that's wide.
Oh!
So Gosku was wide, and then Shaggy Dan has responded to that by sort of sliding one on the other side of the track.
That's a little bit strange there. So... entirely certain what happened there. Oh, and again, Gosku really struggling for traction through turn 15. There is Rick, who's fallen off the back of this train, but the more these two fight, that could bring him in. But there's less than 4 minutes to go now, so he's not got a lot of time. That's only really, roughly 2 minutes a lap, so it's only going to be 2-3 laps at most, depending on when Andrex crosses the line.
Certainly not long to go here. And Shaggy Dan clearly wants that 4th place position, as that puddle is just getting bigger and bigger, it feels like, on the apex of turn 1.
Yeah, they're avoiding it now. Because no one's driving through it, they're not clearing it, so they're avoiding it now.
I think that might be the way to go. As actually, Gosku's gone from being under attack by Shaggy Dan to actually closing down a little bit on Mad Dog, so he's certainly not out of the running for a podium position. Mad Dog, who was leading the race for quite a while, got caught up by Andrex and Turing, who has been the 2 standout drivers in this race. But Mad Dog doing a good job to hang on and not to give any of the other guys any sort of easy time to try and get onto the podium.
So Gosku's got a slightly awkward position there. Does he try and attack assuming their teammates? He's hit the bollard!
Oh, no.
That's exactly what I've been saying about that bollard. If you cut too quickly, you will bounce off it, and that's going to look at the damage on the right hand side. That's going to allow Shaggy Dan through, and it does indeed. Shaggy Dan now up to 4th position. He's going to have the inside for the next corner, and Gosku had no answer. That is going to hurt. I wouldn't be at all surprised. Ooh, the tail's then twitching. I'm not sure if there was impact between himself and Rick, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if he now falls through the field. This is what it looks like from Rick's position, and look at the gap that's already formed between Gosku and Shaggy Dan. It's already 8/10, so that one little mistake, that momentary lapse of concentration, is going to cost Gosku.
Yeah, he's got a gap though. If he drops behind Rick, at least it's quite a gap to Lindholt. He might be able to hang on to top 6 here. I'm sure he wants a top 5. Rick to the outside. He's gonna defend hard here, Gosku, to keep hold of this position. And Rick, it looked like he was going for the cutback, but he wasn't quite allowed the room there on the inside. He's going to have a good run down into the first corner, pulling to the inside, getting some overspeed, but he's not going for it actually. I think there was a chance there to try and break Gosku.
And there you go.
Oh my goodness.
That's why Rick backed out of it. He remembered at the right time that standing water was there, and if he'd tried to plough through that, whilst trying to overtake Gosku, he would have risked the tail obviously coming out on Rick, exactly as we saw, and he could have risked actually taking Gosku's car with him, so he bailed at the right time. Unfortunately, he still ended up going through it, so he could have still lost his car, but that could actually give Mad Dog that podium that he's been hanging on to all race long. He could well hang on to that. It's 2 seconds between himself and Shaggy Dan with less than a minute to go. Where is Andrex? He is... where is he? He is coming through that chicane.
He's up next to his track by now, I think.
So the checkered flag, I would imagine, is going to come out before he gets to the line. So let's jump back up then for this battle between Gosku and Rick. Although Shaggy Dan is technically there, I don't see how Gosku's going to close in on him unless, of course, Shaggy Dan flies off the road, which is entirely possible in these conditions. And you can see how difficult Gosku's finding it to get that car turned in because of that damage on the car.
Yeah, he's certainly struggling. He's got 15 seconds to go on the timer. Gosku under pressure. Is Andrex going to get to the line? This is it's
going to be close.
It's going to be the final lap or not. I mean, Andrex should back off and just make it the final lap if he wants to, and I think
he has backed off, yeah.
He's going to come across to win.
No! No, it's not!
Or has he not?
No! Does he realise that? Because no! He has it! He's realised at the right time! He started to slow down, but the race wasn't done! He's lost a massive amount of time as a result! So he has got another lap to do. I mean, thankfully he still has, well, thankfully for him, he still has 5.5 seconds, give or take, between himself and Turi. But that could have been very, very embarrassing if he had realised a little bit later.
Yeah, I think he certainly tried to slow it down there for the Lion, but I mean he crossed it basically at the 0 second point. So clearly he had his thousandths of a second just on the wrong side there if he wanted to avoid doing this fine. But that means, of course, he's given every driver in this race an extra
One more lap
to do, and some more racing for us to look at as well, and some more time, crucially for Rick, to try and make the move on Gosku.
Yeah, he's half a second between these two now. I think Mad Dog has got himself a go. Oh, that's Shaggy Dan! Oh my goodness me, exactly as I said, Shaggy Dan had to make a mistake for Gosku to reclaim fourth. That's exactly what he's done at that turn 5, side by side coming into this. Oh, yeah, that's why you don't want to go too wide into that chicane. A little tap between Gosku and Shaggy Dan, and that bounces Gosku off of that bollard again. And that gives Rick another opportunity. He's now going to go to the inside. No, he doesn't. He thinks better of that one. But that's even more damage that Gosku's got to contend with.
Man, it's the same order then after all that drama. It's the same order they were in. Gosku in P5 ahead of Rick, and Shagiran now again with a good gap to him. And just like on the previous lap, we got Rick looking to the inside, coming towards Druids. He's first got the fast left-hander, is not going to be alongside. And Gosku's moving a little bit to the inside. I think Andrex now, about right about now, should be getting towards the line as well. So there we go. This time Andrex does win the second race here at Oulton Park in round 2 of the PC Elite Touring Car League. Touring coming from nearly the back to finish second place after winning the first race. Mad Dog holds on to the final place on the podium with quite a gap in the end, actually, after all this drama between these guys. Shagiran, despite a mistake on the final lap, comes home in fourth, just like in the first race, slides across the line. And then Gosku did hold on from Rick to finish 5th. Lindholt from 22nd to 7th, a great drive from him. And then these are Noah coming across in 8th. The final top 10 positions will be Obligatoros going backwards across the line. And then the Hunter, last week's podium placer from the back of the field in the main race. He will only get up to 10th in this one, but still some points on the board. John Beauregard from pole position, of course. Zenny did cross the line, but he's got a 30-second penalty. That seems quite excessive, regardless of what he'd done.
That'll be contested almost certainly. The 30-second ones tend not to stick.
So we can probably assume that Zenny will finish in 11th place, or at least somewhere around there. Then you can see the rest of the positions coming across now.
Jay came across the line in 14th position with a Vincator 15. Myself clunking into cars in 16th. Matster. His race, he's probably quite thankful this is done. There is Zenny and Alexis. It's unravelled very much for him. And that's actually everybody that has crossed the line. And there is your, at least current positions. Andrex taking the win with a touring to Mad Dog 3, Shaggy Dan 4, Gosku 5, Rick 6, Lindholm 7, Noah 8, Oblator 9, and Odan Hunter in 10th. Bergerad 11, Scott 12, 2 Dozerbach 13, J Kill 14, Vincent Sator 15, Mike Self 16, Master 17, Zenny 18, but of course that 30-second penalty in question, that would put him back up to 11th or thereabouts. And at Alexis 19, Phantom Hamster 20, Ironic 21, and Marauder rounding out the field.
Indeed, and another super action-packed race. And well. Normally I would try to sort of work out-ish how the championship is looking at the moment, but I'm having hard enough time in the GT3 leagues with that. And that's one race on the evening. Tonight we had 2 races. There is no way I'm able to...
I'll be honest, I'm going to chicken out. I'm not going to bother trying that one.
All I know, or I can be 99% sure of, is that TM Touring will be the leader of the championship. Yes. 2 fantastic results for him, first and second, after being second already in the championship, so... That's, he's certainly the favourite now, I would say, for the title. But, of course, a lot of things can happen. We've still got 2 weeks to go.
We do indeed. And looking at the season we've had so far, only a 4-week season, which is a great shame considering what we've seen last week and this. But I think we're in for quite an amazing season as it plays out. I think it's fair to say.
And unsurprisingly, we have got one certain driver ready for an interview.
Yes.
And I'm going to drag him straight in there, I think, because someone wants to celebrate their victory, I think.
Why the devil not? And there he is.
And Drex, you
Hello.
have won a race. Well done.
That's it's been a bit of a gap from the other previous default league. I think it just goes to show I can't set up a car, but if I'm forced into something else that's equal to everyone else, I'll have a chance.
I know the feeling, mate. I know the feeling. But yeah, how was that evening for you? I can't remember exactly where you finished in the first race. I mean,
Fourth.
Yeah, I got a fourth.
Wow.
Managed to.
Yeah.
I only overtook one person from 12th. Everyone else is just. It was like Moses. The sea was just parked in front of me. It was awesome. Yeah, no, that was fine. The guys ahead were actually pulling away from me, but then they were just getting in battles and knocking each other off, and I just managed to keep it clean and gain up to fourth out of nowhere. Undeserved, but I'll take it.
Are you quite glad that you realised in time that the race hadn't finished quite where you thought it had?
Yeah, that was a bit close, wasn't it?
Because we were on board with you. I was thinking,
As well.
he's going to beat it. He's going to beat it. Oh no, he's slowing down. He hasn't done it. Hendrix!
I looked at where the lap time was when I was about halfway through the lap, and I looked at the clock and I thought, okay, I'll not manage to complete this lap before the flag. Sweet. And I actually thought, well, if it's going to be close, I'll slow down just to take the win and not risk a silly mistake in the last lap. So I was 100% convinced that I'd crossed the line, and then I kind of slid it about a bit, and I thought, hang on.
I think you crossed the line at exactly 0
That's
seconds.
not right. Oh, okay. Let's get going again.
And another point that is worth mentioning is you were one of only 2 drivers to get into the 52s, and you very nearly got into the 51s. Is worth adding as well. And the other one was Scott.
Yeah, Scott's fast. I'm glad he started from the back. Yeah, he's too quick. We need to handicap him as much as possible. So yeah.
Someone
Yeah,
took his bumper up, so certainly was handicap.
Yeah, I went past him and he was definitely a bit crumpled. So that's I think the only reason I managed to get past him. To be fair, so I don't know what there was lots of. It was a typical touring car race, I think, from the British touring car 1990s era. Much contact was had, I think, and yeah, no, it went well. Gotten clear air at the end when I eventually got past him. TM Touring was a bit of a tricky one to get past, but
I think once you actually made that move, that is the move of the race. I think for
I think was that round the outside of turn 1.
Yes,
Yeah,
we were screaming at that.
On the grass a bit as well on the way through.
Yeah, well, I have to take the wide line. I can't go through the puddle there because rear-wheel drive and puddles don't mix very well.
It wasn't
he can
doing
just drive through it.
It wasn't doing the front wheel guys much favour either. We did see quite a few people nearly stack it there, but
yeah, I think if they really hit it in the inside and right on the apex, then they'll slide a bit. I think it just slows them down so much that it slows the front down. But yeah, it's just a case of avoiding it at all costs, really. And I think he did hit it a bit hard because we were too wide.